If we get fun emails about our mistakes, that's audience interaction. So
I mean,
please,
none of those emails are going to compare to I remember what I did.
I know what you did.
This is why I don't do anything, is because I remember everything I do wrong. I still remember things I said that were done when I was like 5.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see how many things you get wrong today. Anyway, I did check just like an hour ago about the name of the podcast and stuff, which you're
Hmm.
about to hear if you're on Patreon. Um, there's a 1999 the podcast which only looks at media made in the year 1999. So it's not about the show at all. So I think it's fine.
You know what's confusing?
But
The movie Office Space came out in 1999.
so that podcast would
So
cover
when you
Office Space, but
Google,
we will not be.
our next podcast will be Office Space 1999. No, I keep Googling Space 1999 and it shows me results for Office Space 1999,
Okay, so
which
that's
is horrible.
that's
I
why
don't
we're in
really
a
like that movie very much.
that's
I
why we're
think,
in a niche here. How
yeah.
about Idiocracy? Do you hate it like more?
I think Idiocracy is better, but just as stupid.
Okay. I honestly
Um,
like both of them, but I know Idiocracy rubs some people the wrong way in particular. So
I mean, it's eugenics, the movie, kind of.
yeah, that's kind of why. Yes.
It's also like the enlightened centrism, the movie. Like,
Hmm.
you know who knows everything and should be lead the world? The most middle of the road mediocre person you could find.
Okay. So
Anyway,
today,
also dumb people are evil usually.
hmm, right, right. So there should be more evil in Idiocracy. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying that the stupid people in Idiocracy would be more aggressively evil
Hmm.
than they are. I think we're seeing that right now, actually.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. That rates.
Everyone I know, everyone who has cheated on me is stupid. I'll go ahead and put that on here. Patreon listeners, everyone who's cheated on me can't spell,
It can't spell stupid.
and they're stupid and they're mediocre ass people. And what they do is they cheat on you because it's an instinct that they need to spread themselves out as far as possible because they know they're pathetic, stupid losers. And that's why stupid people are dumb and evil.
Yeah, on a
I
different note, I was about to say was I put on this shirt. It's got
and
Howl on it, right? Which seems to
yeah,
make sense for this. I
and that
have a season two style spacesuit, but it's at work, so maybe on future podcasts I'll
okay.
wear that.
Also, Star Trek gives us a future where people don't cheat on each other because they're smart.
What Riker and Troy, they cheat on each other all the time before they got
No, they
married,
have an
probably
open
after too.
relationship. It's called a
Okay,
utopia.
okay, let's do this.
All right. Polyamory, 1999. Okay. No. Welcome to Podcast 1999, the podcast about Space 1999.
Who are
I'm your
you?
host, Mark Malik, 1999,
This is Matt Commage's 1999. What were you doing on September 13th, 1999?
playing the Dreamcast.
That okay? That sounds about right. No, I'm
Actually,
trying to
that's
put.
false. I was not that rich. I couldn't afford a Dreamcast until the February of the following year.
Oh, okay, I'd see. I accepted that straight away. What was? Okay, I
Well,
know what I was
might as
doing.
well.
You might have been with me because that's right about the time I was moving into that hip Athens, Georgia apartment that I had for that year and a half in university. So
The
when
one
the
I
moon,
threw up outside many times
probably, yeah.
and inside, possibly.
Not inside. That was the Japanese apartment.
Oh,
um,
yeah, your modular bathroom. It's cool. We could hose it off.
yeah.
Yeah, hose it
Honestly,
off.
I did. Honestly, it might have been a few weeks after you helped me move in that spot, but that's when the moon blasted out of orbit because yes, we are diving into Breakaway, the first episode of Space 1999. Didn't hit the news that day for us, but that's okay. Um, I guess I kind of dragged you into this one. I just like assumed this is your jam. So,
I've
uh,
barely ever seen this.
right, right.
It
That's
looks great.
it is great. History wise, we are coming off of Imprisoned in Prison, another prisoner prison cast. We finished it. In my timeline, I had watched that and gravitated next to Space 1999. I don't know if it's a Lou grade like instinct or something. But even as we're starting this podcast, I'm really only familiar with the first season. The second season is notorious. I am looking forward to watching it. I think I'm going to like, or at least like talking about it. But yeah, season one is good stuff, I think. So
I believe this kind of sits next to The Prisoner as most expensive series. Like there probably is something in between, but I think The Prisoner was the most expensive series
well,
in the
UFOs
60s.
between, but maybe that wasn't so
Yeah,
expensive.
UFO may have been more expensive than The Prisoner, but we're not doing a UFO series.
Right. At least not yet.
Not yet.
But yeah, it's an interesting spot. I mostly watch this in a vacuum. Doing this podcast is where I guess we're going to start like engaging a little more with eagle heads. I don't even know if that's a name for a fan of the show, but I've decided it is an eagle
I think
head.
those are
So
Thunderbirds.
no, those would be thunderheads, right?
Okay.
Okay. Anyway,
know.
maybe we'll get Jamie Anderson on and ask him. So
Some eagle heads are already mighty miffed at me.
right, but that for those who are tuning in, that's kind of my theory on a podcast, that if you're really going to delve on a show, you probably should not. You should be a fan, but not a super fan. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
I usually, if I'm going to give a podcast a shot, I will listen to an episode on something that I know about. And if it doesn't infuriate me completely to listen to people talk about the thing and mess up a bunch of details, then I'll probably like the rest of the podcast.
okay. Well, I guess we'll do this one trial by fire then, and you apparently have like a tome of trivia for Breakaway.
Yes, let's break away from the rational world and immerse ourselves in the anti-gravity of multiple trivias.
Gozo.
Jerry Anderson began his career as a photographer during World War II. After several near-death experiences involving aircraft, he finished off his military career and transitioned to a career in film and TV production starting in 1957, working on productions such as You've Never Seen This, Torchy the Battery Boy, and Four Feather Falls.
I haven't
During the
seen that.
production during the production of The Adventures of Twizzle, he began an affair with a woman named Sylvia Tham, who was working at Polytechnic Films as an office assistant. By 1960, they had both left their respective marriages, his first, her second, and married each other. They then worked as a husband and wife production team, creating shows such as Supercar, Fireball XL5, and most importantly, Thunderbirds. Sylvia created all the characters for Thunderbirds and voiced Lady Penelope herself, and the show was a crossover hit even across the pond in the US. In 1969, Jerry and Sylvia co-created a sci-fi show called UFO about the covert efforts of an organization called Shadow, that's with no W, that stands for Supreme Headquarters Alien Defense Organization, to prevent an alien invasion. Sorry, that wasn't worded right. The
Okay.
Shadow was trying to prevent an alien invasion. This was the first show they produced that used live action instead of marionettes. That's right, every show I mentioned before that used marionettes.
Super marionettes.
Super marionettes. Was it like Muppets? They had just named them Super Marionettes?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry,
Because their
Eagle
faces
Heads.
could move some.
Are you pissed at me, Eagle Heads? Are you here for my marionette misunderstandings? In 1972, after UFO was syndicated in the U.S. and had generally favorable ratings, a second UFO series was proposed by ITC head Lou Grade. You might remember Lou Grade from everything about The Prisoner. Grade had one stipulation about the series. It had to be primarily set on the moon because the ratings indicated that the moon-centric episodes of UFO had been the most popular. The Andersons proposed a series called UFO 1999, with the forces of Shadow fighting aliens from their new Moonbase facility 20 years in the future in 1999. However, towards the end of the run of UFO, the series ratings began to drop in both the US and the UK, making ITC executives nervous about funding an expensive new series, and support for the second series collapsed. Jerry Anderson then approached Lou Grade's number 2, Abe Mandel, proposing taking the development done for UFO 1999 to a new series. Mandel was interested, but he forbade any Earthbound settings. Anderson responding, saying that in the series opener, he would blow up the Earth. When Mandel suggested that might be off-putting to viewers, Anderson suggested that instead he would blow up the moon. The series was reworked into a premise with a commander controlling the forces of Wander. That's another acronym that I do not know the meaning of.
They probably
From
never decided.
from a defense base on the moon. We could just make our own meaning up. Wonderful, also
Astro,
never
wonderful Astro,
Astro,
Nimrod,
destruction, Earth, run away,
redo because they didn't do it.
redo. Yes, redo.
Okay, there we worked it out.
They were. It was about a commander controlling the forces of Wander from a defense base on the moon, defending humanity against aliens. Sounds familiar, right? At the end of the opening episode, the aliens reduced the moon's gravity to zero and then send it into space. The concept was gradually reworked into what you see today, taking much more inspiration and concept and appearance from Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. After trying out titles such as Journey in Space, Menace in Space, and Space Invaders, they settled on Space 1999. Lou Grade was interested in the sale to the US for syndication, so he insisted the series employ American writers and directors and that it would have American leads. The leads turned out to be another married couple, Martin Landau and Barbara Bain. Today, September 13th, is her birthday. They were both popular TV stars in the Americas after 3 years together on Mission Impossible. Landau and Bain star as John Koenig and Helena Russell. They would remain married until 1993. Their last on-screen collaboration was 1981's The Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island.
Classic.
The Andersons did not have as much luck with their marriage, however. It would break down during the production of Space 1999, and Jerry announced his intention to separate on the evening of the season 1 wrap party. After that, Sylvia would no longer be involved with the production company or the series. Our pilot today, Breakaway, is directed by Lee H. Katzin, an American director who started directing in the 1960s and mostly worked on made-for-TV movies and TV episodes. He would later direct Death Ray 2000. That's right, Death Ray 2000.
Sequel of Space 1999. Comes a year later.
Yes, not Death Race. Different thing.
I got
the
it was a
Eagle and
Ray.
the Bear. The Eagle and the Bear, and 2 episodes of The Bastard. He'll be back to direct 1 more episode of Space 1999 in season 1. The script is written by the Andersons, along with George Belek. He was a screenwriter who mostly worked in TV and would later write TV movies like Medical Story and Alien Attack, which is a Space 1999 movie that I was not aware of until I did this trivia. He only worked as a writer until the early 1980s, and this is his only Space 1999 credit aside from Alien Attack.
Well, it's kind of the same thing.
We're learning as we go. Lon Satin, guess, is Benjamin Uma. He can be seen in He can also be seen in the Human Duplicators and Hello Goodbye. That's hyphenated. You can also catch him in the movie Alien Attack as the same character. Eric Cart is a British actor born 1946, and he's here playing the role of Eddie Collins. He later appeared in productions such as MIT, Murder Investigation Team, and Bugs.
Is that an acronym?
He will also appear in Alien Attack, same character. Finally, we have Philip Maddock as Commander Gorski. Yes, he will be back for Alien Attack 2 as the same character, and also be back for Porridge, Jackanory, and Orrible.
It's an horrible movie.
Orrible, it could be.
I guess you're finished. Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's the end of my Orrible trivia.
Horrible Ivia. I don't think you're supposed to drop the T. Yeah.
I can eat whatever I want.
I got a mosquito bite during your trivia. That's what happened.
Well, that'll happen during long periods.
Right. Okay. I have a story for you. Here we
Okay.
go. A little summary for Breakaway. On September 9th, 1999, a routine inspection of Nuclear Waste Site 2 on the far side of the moon goes weird. One of the astronauts goes berserk, then comatose. Moonbase Alpha's chief medical officer, Dr. Helena Russell, finds no trace of radiation that caused this, but focused brain damage caused by a sudden malignant tumor. She's been researching this, as this is not the first occurrence of this kind of space madness. Moonbase Commander Gorski has been censoring this information, but he is being replaced by Commander John Koenig, sent to the Moonbase to ensure the launch of the Meta probe. Meta is a planet passing through the solar system and is mankind's first chance to land on a possibly habitable world. Koenig takes a crew to check the waste site himself before the launch. The astronauts are able to check the waste site incident free, but the Eagle pilot at the waste site's command center is affected by brain damage and depressurizes the entire control room, the crew barely making it out. Turns out waste site number 1 is a beacon on the way to waste site number 2, and it turns out it has been spewing out a previously undetected form of magnetic radiation, which has been cumulatively wearing down the moon's Eagle pilots. And it's now wearing down the site itself as it erupts in an electromagnetic firestorm. Koenig orders all the Eagles to spread out the nuclear waste at Waste Site 2 before the same happens there, but it is too late. On September 13th, the magnetic radiation ignites the area, and a series of catastrophic explosions turns the moon into a rocket blasting out of Earth orbit. The Moonbase picks up the pieces after several sustained minutes of high G-forces, and they catch the last bits of static from Earth broadcasts. Koenig decides that their only option is not to go home, but to take the moon itself to Meta in hopes of a new home. Summary complete.
Wow, I really was triggered the amount of time that they said Meta in this episode.
Yeah, really. Watching it here and now, like Meta. It's like at least they didn't say
Stop.
metaverse. Yeah.
I mean, technically, I think Meta is from the metaverse. Oh God, I don't want to think about it. I was just like starting to just try and just tune it out when they said the name of it. It's like
just think alien world. It's alien world. There you go. Does that calm you down? Are you calm
Planet
now?
X. I
That's
feel
cool.
better about it being Planet X.
How about Nibiru?
Yeah, Nibiru too.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Melancholia.
Ooh, yeah. That makes more sense because Nibiru and Planet X are affiliated with the solar system, where Meta is just, oh sorry, I said it again, whereas this planet is just passing through.
Well, it's like a planet is just passing through. That's pretty frightening, isn't it? It's like there's nothing comforting about that.
They have rogue planets, right?
Do we just have planets just show up?
Yeah, there's the idea of rogue planets just drifting between solar systems. Exactly. That's why I said that was probably more like the the thing that makes sense.
So that's comforting.
No, it's melancholic. Okay.
I don't think it's terrifying. It's like the only thing that's not terrifying about Melancholia is the fact that when it hits Earth, then you're rid of all the terrible Lars von Trier characters.
So it's a happy ending, is what you're saying.
Yes, I consider that a happy ending, actually.
Okay. Is this a happy ending with the moon blasting out of Earth orbit?
No.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little later. But I feel like now that we're having a look at the series, we should just like go at it with some of the design observations. Is that a good place to start?
Yes. This
Okay.
reminds me of all the cool toys I got as a child in the early 80s. Getting thrift store toys.
You might have gotten an Eagle then, if late 70s, early 80s. You might have gotten an Eagle and not even known it,
I certainly had a few things where it had like the cellophane screen with a set image with the flash. Like, remember Dark Tower, that board game?
That rings a bell, but I'm just thinking of the Stephen King book.
Well, Orson Welles sold it.
Oh, okay, that's cool. That's a plus. That pluses it up. Yeah.
Like, yes, I fight the dragons and I emerge victorious.
Now, when we talk about the Twilight Zone, sometimes like, well, it's being shown on real old school TVs, and you wouldn't notice some of the production details. Mm-hmm. Here, I was noticing like right away on the spacesuits, which are very cool spacesuits. They look a little bit like X-wing flight suits, but very clear, just like decal slapped on them. They're supposed to be controls, but they're clearly just decals.
I didn't really have a problem with suspension of disbelief. This is to me, a great looking thing. It's not, everything looks cheap now. So why can't it look cheap in the
Cheap and
alternate
awesome.
1999?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I mean, I loved it, but I'm just like maybe watching it in too high quality. Is that something that the show might like?
I watched it on YouTube because it was uploaded by a user named Full Strength Beer
That's what
in
I
high
watched.
definition. Okay.
Just
Um,
for legal. Here's a set. I have the set, but it was just more convenient that way.
I choose to have Full Strength Beer represent me in court.
Is that
He or she or they are my attorney.
what is full strength beer? 13%? What makes it full
I
strength?
think that's when it's 100% alcohol.
You can't make beer that's 100% alcohol.
Clearly, you're not a genius that can upload an entire series to YouTube because they know how to do it.
Okay, that's cool. Um, so the Eagle is, I guess we should compare it to other ships of the time. The Enterprise is several years earlier, much bigger, but we're about to get X-wings, Battlestar Galactica Vipers, whatever they call those things on Buck Rogers. Where do you rate the Eagle in 70s sci-fi ships?
That's pretty high, man. I felt a couple of times I felt almost guilty feeling like this is such a luxury version of like Star Wars. I mean, not Star Wars, Star Trek. It wasn't, I mean, I don't know, it's almost on par with Star Wars with how cool it looks. I
Well,
was like, this feels like I feel like I'm just eating, man. I feel like I'm just lapping it up. All
I'm
this
just saying,
ship design.
especially with the existential dread we'll be lapping up in season one in particular. Um, like I kind of feel like this play feels almost like Star Trek the motion picture, the series, like a few years too early, which is ironic because Star Trek was trying to make phase two, which I guess would have been that sort of thing, but probably not
That
as like existential dready.
that's a good parallel because there is a lot of existential dread in that movie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean the
I think
suits.
if you cut the existential dread out, then people wouldn't complain about it being so long, and then it wouldn't be as good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like that movie's continuing to climb the ranks of actually being a good movie, especially with the recent kind of retweaking of it. But
I have not seen the retweak yet,
okay,
but it's on the list.
but yeah, these
But
uniforms
I
are pretty
liked it
hip.
already.
Yeah, these
I mean, it has
uniforms
a
are definitely hip.
transporter accident. I'm a
Oh,
big fan of transporter accidents.
what they got back didn't live long, man.
Yeah, just like The Fly, another classic transporter accident. I
The
just think that
uniforms are pretty similar though, because again in the retweak, the uniforms are more colorful in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, but these are meant to be kind of drab from the get go, right?
there's a little bit, I was kind of like maybe there should be some kind of uh shoulder padding or chest support. Everybody just look a little bit like a little doughy in those outfits. That's true.
Yeah, Landau did have a bit of a paunch at this point, I suppose.
I felt like everyone did, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention if anybody was like cut or anything.
Okay. I
But
mean, living on the moon, you get a little doughy, right? The gravity's lower.
but it's one of those things where I only thought about it a couple of times because clearly I wasn't looking at everyone's like chest muscles.
Right. Um, just another bit of 70s design. I did notice in Dr. Russell's office, she's got the Visible Man and the Visible Woman, which are plastic models that are transparent, and you can see all of the organs inside, which you can take apart and put back together. And we had one in my house. I remember playing with it a lot and tossing the intestines across the room and stuff like that. So
Yes, those are great. This feels a lot like the headquarters and Buck Rogers pilot that we talked about some ages ago
yeah,
with
I
John
mean
Champion on your other podcast, which still exists, I think.
maybe. I
Oral
mean that
hygiene.
podcast
I don't know.
exists. No, it's something else, but
The feed exists.
the feed
What?
exists. You could find that if you wanted.
Okay.
Um, a little bit of Trek. When also in her office, she's got her thermographic plate showing the head X-rays, and I was like, wow, that looks like proto L-cars from Star Trek: The Next Generation. It like definitely had like I could see that being an L-cars display without too much imagination on my
There are
part.
a few nice touches like she has a monitor to let Martin Lando into her quarters that's like a small TV on the end of a long stick, which
Yeah,
is
that should have been
interesting.
more popular. Yeah, too bad.
Yeah, I'm there. There's got to be a really practical purpose for that, but I don't exactly know what it is. Like putting it on a shelf. You put it on a shelf.
Yeah, I did like how they were
Flying.
like for practical purposes. I liked how they were kind of oil checking the radiation dump sites. Like they got a
Yeah, this
dipstick and stuff, and then like a 70s electronic game to check it out, which I guess kind of does look like some of the stuff they have when you get your oil changed with less cool buttons. But
yeah, I mean, at the beginning of this, I was like, they have two different nuclear dump sites for the moon. And then I realized later on they explained that those are the nuclear dump sites for the entire Earth. And you realize, oh, all of Earth's nuclear waste is coming to the moon,
because this
which,
is before 3 Mile Island or Chernobyl, definitely before Fukushima. So, nuclear power still probably kind of seemed like the future.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it honestly kind of seems like the future now. It just has
oh
to
yeah, we're getting
have
back to it, aren't
more
we?
oversight. It just needs more oversight.
Yeah, because what was the not the Andromeda Strain? What is the big nuclear disaster movie from the late 70s, which air came up?
Manhattan Project?
No, that's a different
No.
one. That's why we're breaking our brains here. Anyway, it basically depicted the 3 Mile Island situation like slightly before 3 Mile Island actually happened. So I guess it was in people's minds that maybe this isn't the greatest thing to do, which is also the premise of this episode. I mean, what is it? He's like, you need to stop the atomic waste shipments over here. Ah, we can't possibly do that, because Earth is so
That
screwed.
that was tragically realistic that people were like, wait, we got to cover this up so we keep getting our funding.
Exactly. So, and Simmons, the commissioner of the space program, how creepy did you think he was? He just seemed like a total creep.
The bearded guy,
Yeah,
very creep. I don't know. The beard seemed like inappropriate somehow. It's
he
like
came
is
he
he
like a
was
Charles
wearing.
Manson. He had a Manson vibe.
It was like the way his facial hair was. He was supposed to be wearing a suit, but he wasn't wearing a suit. He was wearing like a regular outfit. Like there's some kind of thing where he should have had like an admiral outfit. Like he should have had a different I guess we're all used to Star Trek where everybody has different ranks and stuff like that. Like he should have shown up wearing a different outfit than everyone else. I think that's what made it weird.
But once he's there, you change into the moon digs. But what in the video before was he wearing? I think he was wearing something different in the earlier video.
Yeah, I just feel like we got to know him better once he actually showed up in person. But
Well, yeah, of course, and then learned that he's a bit of a douche, right? So,
so
um,
yeah, I was looking at the thing I was thinking about was The Conqueror, which is that John Wayne movie where almost everyone got cancer who worked on it. That was
Misfits,
1956.
Misfits, Misfits. Is it?
Misfits?
I think it's a
Are you sure?
Misfits. I feel confident I wouldn't have corrected you, but yeah.
Howard Hughes, produced by Howard Hughes. Um, because he was playing Genghis Khan. Genghis.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, that is an earlier movie because what I'm talking about is the Western. So, I
There
guess
might have been two John Wayne cancer movies. I don't.
I mean John Wayne
Maybe he
did die of cancer, so it makes
maybe
sense.
he maybe he shot everything he did next to nuclear testing site.
And smoked a ton of cigarettes. So it's amazing it was as
Yes,
old
he
as he
smoked.
was.
Well, there is a haunting picture of like him with his playing with his two or three boys, all of them with their shirts off, like playing around on the set of this film.
Yeah, yeah. So they might, probably got a dose of it, but
It
I
also
mean,
got a Golden Turkey Award
um, actually,
for his.
Isaac Asimov was annoyed with this episode because he's like, okay, you put the nuclear waste on the far side of the moon, it explodes. Doesn't that mean the moon should be crashing into Earth? Then we would have got what Jerry Anderson wanted. He would have blown up the Earth and the moon in the first episode.
Wasn't the dark side of the moon? The dark side of the moon is faces away from Earth,
Correct.
doesn't
Which
it?
which I
Damn it!
also that's the other thing, dark side of the moon, right? Because it's the far side of the moon.
I
It's
guess yeah. We were.
just as much light as anywhere
I
else.
thought to myself, oh, the dark side of the moon is the moon, the side that faces away from the sun.
I mean, I guess
That
that's
doesn't
Pink
make any
Floyd
sense.
cool, but yeah.
I mean, it
Oh,
would
not
be
away
pretty
from the
cool
sun.
if the moon crashed into the Earth.
Or if the moon crashed into Pink Floyd while they're like doing a concert, that'd be cool.
for sure in 1999.
Oh yeah, September 13th. Yeah, because that's what happened. It would have, yeah, it would have sent it careening towards the Earth. Technically, I mean, there's gravity. It could have
It would have
slingshotted around. It would have just like exited orbit as we saw it here, but that would
I
also have
don't really
required more complicated effects. So,
I'm actually, I hate to Neil deGrasse Tyson all over this. But I doubt that any amount of nuclear explosion waste would make the moon fly out of orbit. Like you would
especially
need.
at a high speed, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like my first thought was like, well, it'll probably reach Mars like 20 years or something like that.
We're gonna be reaching some black holes and stuff in the next
Of
few
course.
episodes. So
Of course
speed
it
things
has
up a little
to.
bit. Yeah, you gotta up that existential dread, right? Just flying away from Earth with no hope of returning. Pilot Collins, he could have turned his eagle towards Earth, couldn't he? When
Sure.
because he's trapped in space when the moon leaves orbit, so he goes back to Moonbase, right? Does he regret? I guess he's going to regret that decision or not. I
It's
don't know.
it's never made clear whether like humans have done enough space flight in this continuity to be able to go and super far out into the solar system. It seems
It seems
probably
they
not.
can't. I mean, that's what the whole meta probes. Sorry, I said meta again. That's what the whole meta probes for, right? It's
You
it's
can you can stop apologizing because that just draws it out more.
because that's a craft that's supposed to be able to reach this somewhat nearby planet where it seems the Eagles are capable of making it from the moon to Earth and back. And I think later in the series, the Eagles going to be able to make it to like planets and stuff, right? So Eagles have a little bit of um, space legs, but probably like Star Trek shuttlecraft, but less so,
Mhm.
I guess. But more than the 2001
You
shuttles, which really can
uh,
just have to go around the moon surface.
you know more than I do about this series. This is my first time. I've seen some of it. I remember just seeing a random couple of episodes of it, and Martin Landau was like yelling at people. That's all I remember from this,
That's
and that it
because
looked cool.
it's ITV, it's Lou Grade. We need a lead that yells at people.
I want that. That's great.
Um, both I think Landau and Bain are both good, but it is amazing how little chemistry they have on screen together in this. They're just icy.
You really wait. You really think that Landau and Bane don't have chemistry?
I mean, they were going so hard for a sci-fi iciness. I don't know. Did you see differently than me? Go for it.
I thought that it was like he just sort of looked at her and she seemed to just kind of melt a little bit.
Okay. I mean, I guess she melts a little bit,
But
but it's still pretty
yeah,
icy.
they've been on screen together for 3 years, so they probably have a shorthand and also possibly a little sick of working together.
And
Um,
it had been several years since Mission Impossible because that was like what 67, 68, 69. This is 75. So I can't don't know slash
that
can't remember
right?
what they did in between. Um,
Is that right? Well, keep talking and I'll
okay,
figure out if that's right.
I'm pretty sure. Sorry, and I think one of the few kind of um more serialized elements of this is their relationship growing over the course of this series. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe they were intentionally being a little bit like formal with each other here. Like you said, there's a
Cool.
touch of melting. She does seem to explain with a little more candor than we had seen in her previous couple scenes, but it's definitely
Well,
yeah.
it looks like between Mission Impossible and Space 1999, Barbara Bain did Murder Once Removed, Good Night, My Love, Savage, A Summer Without Boys. Um,
I
okay.
guess Martin Landau wasn't in that last one.
He wasn't in the last one. Well,
There's no
what did
boys. It's
he
a summer
do?
without boys,
He's
right?
a man.
Okay. Well, he had to be a boy before he was a man.
Well, what he did was do
Summer
do
without
do do
boys.
do.
Is that the name
He
of
did
the
one
movie?
episode of Get Smart. He did Rosalino Paterno Soldato.
Yeah, that came out smoothly.
They Call Me Mr. Tibbs. A Town Called Hell.
Yeah.
Welcome Home, Johnny Bristol. Black Gun, one episode of Columbo. Savage, Strange Shadows in an Empty Room.
Oh, he's got better titles at least. I don't know about quality
He's got the
level, but
man titles.
he's got the
She's got the
man
woman
titles.
titles.
They,
That's right. woman titles are for women and men titles are for men. This is the back when those things were destroying our society. Uh,
Okay. How about space zombies? How do you feel about space zombies? Are these space
they're
zombies?
awesome. Yeah, they're space zombies. They rule.
But they only have like three
That
minutes
guy.
of zombieing before they just like go comatose. So that's kind
That's
of a
good
bummer.
because zombies actually are really terrible. So you only want a little of them. You want them to show up a little bit and try and smash the window with their helmet and then die. And the computer gives you a all caps scary. Those computers scary in this.
Well, it needs to be a director on the moon. Things are serious.
And there's something about it talking and then also the words appear on the screen in all caps that's like frightening.
They played the decompression situation much better than in the Last Jedi, right? They all got out in time. Even
I
the
liked
zombies.
I liked the Last Jedi
I love the Last Jedi. I'm just saying
thing
they played the
because
decom.
it
No, I'm not
gave
saying.
Princess Leia something to do.
Yeah, I'm not saying filmmaking wise they did a better
Oh.
job here. I'm just saying like practical wise, they got everyone out of the room, including the zombie, in time. You know,
Yeah. Well, that's easy.
I did find it interesting that they had like a fabricated nameplate for Sparkman on his monitor. Like it wasn't like just the computer said it. It was like someone had to actually fabricate that. It was like a piece of metal put into a slot with his name on it, which seems weird for a terminal patient that you just got. Sorry, I know I'm just picking at
Well,
like
they're
nitpicking, but
just
it's
gonna
fun.
take it off the computer and put it onto his urn right after they're done.
Oh yeah, that's practical. No, I love it's there. Don't get me wrong. I love the
Mm.
fact it's there. It's just when I started thinking about it, it's like that doesn't make any sense.
So, do you know the taglines for the series?
Hit me with them.
The future is fantastic, and
Mm,
an adventure as big as the universe.
okay.
Both very inappropriate for
Yeah,
this.
considering how much existential dread we're about to dip our heads into.
For one thing, never. This is just a rule for everyone. If you're writing anything, never invoke the universe. Just don't. Even Star Trek generally confines itself to one quadrant of one galaxy, and that's
Yeah.
with warp 9 available to them. Don't
Well, I think
invoke the universe.
well, if you're gonna fall through black holes and stuff, who knows where you are? You can say universe at that point.
I, no, you're still probably going to be in the galaxy. I'm
What about
sorry.
that in Star Trek, the Traveler took them to that place beyond space and time. That could have been the universe, a different universe. I don't know.
I'm going to bet that it was still just between this galaxy and the next.
I'd look like we'd gone several super clusters away, but I
Okay,
don't know. Yeah,
maybe
you don't.
a
Okay,
few galaxies over. You're talking about like hundreds of millions of galaxies.
yeah, the universe.
Wait,
Right,
billions? Sorry, is it billions? Billions,
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 billions, billions.
billions and billions and
Saying it
billions
right.
of billions of billions and billions of billions.
Make sure you're saying it right. I guess.
Billions of bullions.
Yeah. I definitely love the psychedelic hellscape of lawn of Waste Site 1 and then Waste Site 2. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, everything looks great. I'm maybe a little concerned that things will look cheaper and less cool after this, but it look cool here.
That's called season 2, but we'll get there when we get to it.
Okay.
I mean, they
Are
changed a
there
lot of
more?
things, so
Can you tell me, are there more zombies?
there's zombie type things. There's
Okay.
possessions, dead things, things that may or may not be dead.
Okay.
Possibly the ancient ones get involved. It's hard to tell, right?
Ooh.
Well, I mean, just in a metaphysical sense of the word. I mean, one of
I
the
mean,
reasons I'm so attracted to the show is I like science fiction. I like metaphysics. They don't often like cross heads much, because Star Trek always needs to have like the scientific explanation in the end. I mean, it's kind of disingenuous if they don't because it's Star Trek, but this show can allow for a little more weird metaphysical ambiguity, I think.
so are you saying that you think that the whole thing where the end of Deep Space Nine was just Bajorans shooting lasers at each other wasn't like didn't fit the Star Trek mold and it shouldn't have been how the show ended? Because
The thing
I
with
think so.
Cisco and Gold Dukat, probably
Yeah.
not. And also this and if you haven't seen
Also,
Deep Space
Goldacott
Nine,
just
hit a head or two. But It was
Caldecott just like became a Bajoran so he could like bang Kai Wynn or something. Was that happen? Did that happen? Did I imagine that?
it was at least implied. They had a rocky relationship, but and
Oh my
then Avery
god.
Brooks wasn't happy because he correctly noted, "Wait a minute, you're having the black father abandon his wife, son, and unborn child. That's not cool."
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
Cisco and Jake, best relationship on the show, possibly the best relationship on any Star Trek. I mean, it was seriously. That's well, I
so
guess the
you're
sad ending is still a good ending.
okay. That's where I'm kind of putting in that maybe metaphysics and Trek doesn't work so well, whereas Space
Mhm.
1999 has being not an established property. I mean, the most you could say is like it's kind of maybe probably not a second season of UFO, right? So, and UFO got plenty weird. So,
I have
this
not
show
seen
can
UFO. Whoops.
that
Didn't know
that
that existed until I was doing the trivia for this episode.
yeah.
Whoops.
I only recently got myself into some UFO, so even for me, it's pretty new, right? So
I didn't know Danger Man existed until I started doing prisoner trivia.
there's a lot of TV shows out there, and some of them are quite old. You know, how many shows did Lucille Ball do? Can you spit that out?
One.
No. There's Here's Lucy. There's the Lucy Show. In 1985, she played an elderly homeless woman on the TV movie Stone Pillow. I mean, there's so much Lucy out there other than just I Love Lucy,
Wait,
right?
was
So
stone pillow a metaphor or did she actually have a stone pillow?
I haven't. I think it was a metaphor, but I imagine at some point she probably tries to go to sleep on concrete. At least concrete's kind of like stone, right?
Man,
Okay.
Lucy was the best. She could do 15 shows if she wanted to.
Yeah. Well, she didn't do it at the same time as, but yeah, she had lots of
She
shows,
could
right?
just
Yeah,
do
she
them
could
all
have.
like a big old conveyor belt of chocolates, just shoving TV shows in her mouth like a
I'm
bunch
sure
of
that's what happened.
chocolates.
Sure, that's what happened. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's what Martin Landau and Barbara Bain were trying to do. They were trying to recreate the chocolate machine of TV shows, and that
Oh.
resulted in Space 1999. That's where we are now, man. Lucy's
So,
doing variety shows at this point. She's not in space anymore. Um, now we're. Did you have any other like real observations you wanted to throw out on this one?
I just
I got one
mostly
more, by the
enjoyed
way,
it.
but
You go ahead.
okay. Yeah, one, we got the Maya satellite, which is fun because Maya is going to be a character in season 2. So just throwing that out.
Mhm.
And well, actually, this kind of is your point because you said it to me before we hit the record. Just like the weird, just dramatic weirdness. Practically, it makes sense, but the dramatic weirdness of Commander Koenig just saying, "Yep, we are not going back. We're going to
Yeah, it
fail if we
was
try it."
I saw that. I spotted that in my notes, was about to mention it, that the computer says, I don't know what to do. Human decision required. And he says, we don't. Because dun 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 dun. I don't know if
Because
it went dun 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 or if I'd put that in
yeah,
my notes, but yeah, I think it did.
because would Commander Adama have made that decision? Well, I guess he kind of did because they went running from the Cylons in Battlestar.
Mm.
Picard and Kirk would have tried to go back, even though failure seemed
Mm.
imminent. I'm sure.
Yeah, that's not Star Trek captains don't surrender ever generally, which is fine. Which is fine as long as you write the plot like it rewards. They get rewarded for doing it.
But he
um,
follows Yoda logic, right? Do or do not do. There is no try. So he's like, we're not going to try because we cannot do.
so like that thing when Yoda just gave up at the end of episode 3 because there was no way to, because they couldn't just write something where he actually went into exile without him like trying to fight the Emperor and losing, not
Mm,
losing, just giving up. I always
yeah.
hated that. That was like
Well,
one of my least favorite things about that movie.
that's a pretty controversial opinion. Not liking the prequels, man.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, Eagles, if you're gonna defend the prequels to me. Um, yes, that was refreshing because it's realistic, and also what was realistic is you see a news report about, oh, the Earth is being destroyed because the moon left. That's something that I think gets left out. I think that would get left out of a lot of versions of this, and they're just like, yeah, actually, Earth sucks now
And now they have
because we
too
need the
much
moon.
atomic waste as well.
Yep.
You
Yeah, where are
can't
we gonna
send
put
a
our
shipment.
waste?
Yeah.
Gonna put it into
I
space.
I expected we were going to hear a bunch of stuff about the tides, but I guess earthquakes. Yeah, sure, that makes sense too. That rates that takes.
He mentioned both, I think.
Oh, did he mention tides? Okay. I mean, earthquakes would be more noticeable, I guess, just straight away. So
He said gravity disruption and earthquakes.
okay, well, that's not
Yeah.
saying tides; it's saying gravity disruption, right?
Okay.
But
I
yeah, I
also
guess that
don't believe that anyone survived from the moon,
right.
but
Which
everyone surved. Well, not everyone, but
311 people. 311,
yeah.
man, must be where the
Yes, the magic number.
the best
Never
band
forget.
ever.
Let's just search for an AMV of 311 with space. It's not an AMV if it's live action. What does that mean?
Hey, when I was in
FMV?
high school, lots of my classmates thought 311 was the best band ever. I just didn't agree with them.
I hmm.
don't
The
you
last
don't
time there's a friend of mine who skipped my birthday to go see 311. And I wish
not
I
your friend
got kind
anymore.
of I got kind of mad. I wish I hadn't, but I still don't understand it.
At least it
I wouldn't
wasn't like,
understand skipping church to see 311.
is this still your friend?
I don't think they really want anything to do with me, but
Okay. What if
not
I mean,
because of that.
what
We
if
don't.
they had skipped your birthday to see Nickelback? Would that have been more raw?
That's at least funny.
Okay, that's
I
cool.
mean, yeah, I don't think we really have much in common, but like
Um,
it was something where they moved back into town and we didn't hang out at all, and then they moved away again.
okay.
So
Um,
probably we don't have anything in common.
this being our first episode, I'm not entirely sure this is how we're going to put the question, but I kind of threw it out, and I don't think we've resolved it, come down to a different one yet. So let's work out how much of this is sci-fi fun and how much of it is existential dread. I kind of like the idea of doing it with percentages, which I'm going to put this one at like 80% fun and 20% dread because I know where we're going. You might have a different take.
um, but this is the thing. I think that I don't think that I feel dread the same way that you feel dread.
Yeah, that's
Because I'm
kind
a
of why I'm
very
curious.
anxious. I'm a very anxious person. So, like, I just saw the movie Beau is Afraid, which
Was
now
he
is
afraid?
probably this is probably out on streaming for a while by the time you're hearing this. But the best way I could describe that is like, what if you were an incredibly paranoid person to the point of just not being capable of living your life, but everything that you were afraid of happening was happening. So it's stuff happens like he's walking to his apartment and a guy starts just like chasing him with a knife and he looks outside and there are people stabbing everyone and there are deadly spiders in his apartment, and then it's the thing where he like leaves his key in the door and someone steals it immediately, and then he goes outside to try and do something, and then everyone who's out on the street all stabbing each other all run into his apartment building and are all in his apartment destroying things, and this happens in like the first 10 minutes of the film.
Are you trying to say
It's like,
this is a sci-fi version of that?
no, I was gonna say that I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was very, very funny movie where terrible things constantly happen.
Is that Bo
Um,
Bridges? Is he afraid?
no, I mean he probably is, but no, it's Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay.
Oscar worthy performance again from Joaquin Phoenix. That's all he does apparently. But anyway, I'd say this is like 90% fun and 10% dread.
Okay, that's
This
cool.
is pretty, because the dread is fun. There's just zombies that are like nuclear zombies. Like, come on, that's
Yeah,
oh,
well,
we're on a bomb the whole time. There's just the whole thing's a bomb. Like, it's just hilarious.
no, I thought you were
Also,
about to go the opposite direction, to be honest. So I'm curious. Yeah, I think it's fun
I
that you went more fun than I did.
I think this is what I don't know. It's like if you live with constant anxiety and fear, then anything, um, it's like anything fictional that is absurd is automatically fun, if that makes
Okay.
any sense.
Well, yeah. So maybe will keep the question because now I'm really not concerned, really interested if later on you're gonna find like certain situations fun.
Yes, I'm interested. I'm excited. I try to think of an example of something that I would find dready, dready,
Dready,
dreadly, dreadly.
Dreadly, something Dreadly.
Okay, like we were talking about Deep Space Nine. The episode where Nog is just depressed in the holodeck in like Vegas or whatever for the whole time.
Right?
That was
It's
pretty
only a
sad.
paper moon. I'm
That
good as
was
a title game.
dready. That was dready.
Okay. Okay.
I thought the baseball episode was fun.
Oh yeah, that one's fun. See,
That's
I'm thinking
not a
there's
fair
more.
comparison.
Yeah. I mean, is there more dread in the episode where he loses his leg, which is one or two earlier, right? So is
I
is
think that's
is
almost
imminent?
equal.
Okay, I was just saying imminent fear versus a slow decline, right? So
I think, well, when you see him lose his leg, your immediate reaction is probably like, yeah, I just get another leg.
so space in this episode, just bringing back space zombies, and we're sitting on a bomb is like imminent fear. Where blasting out of Earth's orbit on the moon is kind of like a slow burn dread, right?
Yes. I mean, much like the Midnight Sun episode of Twilight Zone that we talked about many, many months ago. Um,
But I guess that's where I really did like the last broadcast they get, because it seems like they're not that far. It's like Earth's range really isn't that far in 1999. Well, although it's more
or
than ours was, but
maybe their broadcast range is much farther.
yeah, because we got contact. We're just spiraling out forever. That's pretty cool. But the signal
Mhm.
obviously degrades, so we get the static here, right?
I think that part of my lack of dread is that I cannot help kind of Neil deGrasse Tysoning it, where I'm like, they can't be going that fast. That'd be ridiculous.
Well,
Like
I think
honestly, I they didn't spend a whole lot of time like showing a moon that was like flying with speed lines because they probably just didn't have the tech to even do that. Like
I thought
it was a
I thought it
cool
was
effect.
cool where on screen it's not moving fast, but it's like it's in space, so it is going fast-ish.
It looks great. I don't want to I don't want to turn this into like a thing where I'm criticizing how fast it seems the moon is going, but I did not feel like I understood how fast the moon is going.
Okay, no, that's fair enough for sure. Um, I
And
guess.
also, even knowing that the moon was going to do what it did still was kind of surprising. Like, I mean, it was the thing where the episode kind of moved at a pace where I forgot what we were building up to. I wasn't just sitting there the whole time being like, "Whoa, when's the moon gonna go?"
Even though the credits tell you that to start with, but
Of course, I mean it's called a breakaway. Yes, I know.
like it's not like they were really trying to make it like a non-spoiler thing, right? I mean, that's the
That
premise
is
of the
to the show's
series.
credit. I think that excessive foreshadowing is a hack writing technique.
Yeah, for sure. So this just throws you into the proper action. Oh wait, that does happen. Okay, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
um, I guess we'll wrap it up today. So we Mark and I are doing this far in the past. You're hearing it far in the future. You're probably in the future of 1999 by now. But you
Yes,
can
now
find us.
you've probably had the experience the re-election of President Trump.
They're still too early for that, by the way. Well, unless certain
It's
things,
not
unless we really get
happening.
crazy. um,
That's a dumb attempt at meta humor.
just think of how
I said it.
absurd it would have sounded in 1999. Yeah, but yeah, on
I
Twitter,
don't know if I
Facebook.
wouldn't have believed it in 1999. It was a cynical time. It was the 90s. Remember, everybody was all edgy, listening to 311, skateboarding.
Mm. But Twitter, Facebook, we should be able to get away with podcast 1999. If not,
Just search
run
for
that
it.
search. Do a search. We're also on
Search for it.
Patreon at Podcastio Podcastius. You can find our other podcasts there. Mark and I occasionally talk about the Twilight Zone on Time Enough podcast. We're always talking about great films and, well, apparently great films and apparently terrible films on Films and Filth, the Citizen Kane of podcasting. There's a call at Disney. I talk about Disney. There's games. Luke loves Pokemon. You can guess what that's about. Hyrule Field Report is about Zelda, and the Game Show is gamers gaming each other because they hate the players, not the games.
Power to the not to the players.
Power not to the players.
Power not to the players. That
Then you
was
throw
our
Chuck.
fun marketing slogan from 1999.
Then you throw a fun bomb squad beat behind that, and you're good to go.
It's not in the game.
Nothing's in the game. Okay, well, let's light that fire and head out Earth orbit then.
Break away and go touch grass,
Break
Eagles.
away through that lonely life. You can do what you want to do from the Earth on the moon. Wake away up the moon to break. Okay.
Did you just make that up? I don't know what that was.
No, there's Beach Boy song "Breakaway."
Oh, I don't know it.
Okay. That's just been going through my head for the past day because okay, if you think I was making it up, that's even better.
Yeah.
Like the movie
Mm.
Yesterday, right? Where only the one guy remembers the Beatles.
I did not want to see that.
I didn't either, so I just listened to a podcast about so they'd explain to
Oh,
me what
okay.
happened in it. It is Danny Boyle though. He's made some good movies.
I don't like Danny Boyle.
Oh, well you shouldn't watch it then.
I mean, I like 2/3 of Sunshine, but
I
I think
like the last third too. It's
I did not
maybe
like the
maybe
last third of it.
okay. I was about to say maybe it's the first third you don't like because the last third's insane.
No, I don't like the last third of it. It's like Event Horizon Light.
Yeah, not cool as
Like I like the
Trainspotting,
first
is it?
two.
You're not
I don't really like Train Spotting. Like at the time, I was kind of like, it's kind of like this pretentious, but not like in a good way, right? I mean, I like a lot of pretentious shit, but it's like pretentious, but also kind of dumb.
You can watch 127 hours like once.
I haven't seen that. I fell asleep at the beginning of 27 Days Later and missed most of it.
Yeah,
I didn't like Scumbag Millionaire.
I never saw
Uh,
that. Did you say Scumbag Millionaire?
Yeah, I like calling it Scumbag Millionaire
Okay.
because it's fun.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm not. I'm not
I
saying
can't
you're
say I've
wrong.
seen everything he made, but I haven't really liked any of it that much.
Okay, I mean, it's not like he's my favorite. I'm not gonna go to bat for him,
He
but
just is kind of, to coin a phrase that the Brits use, he's kind of up himself.
yeah, sure, okay. But anyway, that was my whole point that the one guy doesn't know like he's the only person who remembers the Beatles, so everyone's like, oh, but you know,
I
you had a
told
bunch of great songs that still wouldn't really help, would it?
I
It's
don't
like,
like
hey, listen to
jukebox
my
musicals. Like I'm kind of offended by it. I want
no,
music to have
it's
like
not a, it's
context.
no, it's not a jukebox musical. They put him on a stage in like Wembley, and he's just like playing Beatles songs by himself on a Telecaster.
I mean,
Like he doesn't even have a band. It's really weird how they do it.
I
And it's the
yeah,
actors
I can't
just
really. I
singing the
haven't seen
song.
it.
Yeah,
I haven't
they're
seen it. It just looked like something I wouldn't like. Maybe I'm
I,
thinking of Across the Universe.
oh, you're thinking across the universe. I got 5 minutes into that movie. I was like, fuck this, and turned it off.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I
that is
don't
a
think I
jukebox
really
musical.
know it yesterday, but
Yesterday
also,
is where a
God,
dude
it's
gets hit by a bus, and when he wakes up, nobody remembers the Beatles. So he's already a musician, so he just starts like trying to remember the songs he can and performs them as his
yeah,
own songs.
okay. I mean, it's hard to talk about the Beatles. I think it's like the most goddamn, just like Elvis. Like I haven't seen the Elvis movie. I don't think I want to. It's just like you
I
can't.
watched 10 minutes and tapped out. Because I heard I heard a lot of people didn't like Tom Cruise's performance. I put it on. I was like, oh,
You
I
Tom
don't like
Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Yeah, Tom Hanks' performance. I didn't like it, so I put it on. I was like, yeah, I don't like Tom Hanks' performance in this. So
Uh,
I think 2022 is a bad year for him because he did that and he was in
well,
Pinocchio.
it's because all the MAGA people turned on him for getting COVID.
Oh, okay.
You
Maybe
know about
COVID
that?
melted his brain.
Did you not know about that?
Was that?
There's a bunch of like, I think it was something like he got the vaccine, so everybody.
No, he got it. He got it straight away. I remember that was like March 2020. He got COVID.
There was something I don't remember. It's so fucking stupid that I don't remember the exact details.
Okay.
Oh, God, his son Chet spread misinformation. Oh God, Chet Hanks is like criticizing vaccines.
Is he the
What is
dude with
going
tattoos on
on?
his face?
No, I'm like, I'm just everything here is just Chet Hanks being a piece of shit.
Well, Chet's more popular now. Okay.
Well, there's something like a bunch of people like were harassing Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson because they thought it was like a hoax that they had COVID, like the COVID
Oh,
was a hoax, and they were participating in the hoax. It was like
you were sick.
Sandy
You can't
Sandy
get
Hook
sick.
people. No, it was like Sandy Hook type shit where people like don't believe that COVID's real, so they like were harassing them because they thought they were like part of the conspiracy. guess they
Mm.
were kind of the first big. I think they were the first one of the first high profile.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I
it
remember.
sucks.
They're because they were making
It's
Elvis. They were like in Australia.
super fucked. Anyway, yeah, he probably was having a hard time, and probably his faith in humanity was completely destroyed, and his son was whatever. His son is a mediocre rapper who doesn't believe in vaccines, and
Anyway,
um,
2022 Tom Hanks performances. Boo.
maybe he should just take a break. You
Yeah,
know,
that's not a bad idea. Breakaway. He can break
but
away.
I don't. I've never seen anything Buzz Luhrmann made that I liked either. So I have no fucking idea.
Yeah,
And I don't
like
like biopics. And I don't. Again, Elvis is one of those things. It's like I don't know how you have interesting commentary on Elvis without doing like Bubba Hotep or something.
well, obviously Weird is still the perfect biopic, so
Yeah, exactly. Weird Al is like the epitome of not being up himself.
that could be his tagline. Okay. Um
Yeah.
I guess I'll go ahead and stop recording stuff.
Okay.
If anyone's still hanging around. Bye.
Bye.